Our next speaker and last, Katie Durcan, joined the National Park Service's National Heritage Area program in Washington 11 years ago. Previously, she worked with the Baltimore National Heritage Area, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, for Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan from New York at Mount Vernon, and in exhibit design. Katie has an undergraduate degree in history and English from John Carroll University in Ohio, and a master's degree in museum studies with a focus on historic preservation from George Washington University. So, Katie, are you able to take over?
Hi, great. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, hi. So as Paloma mentioned, our program is very interesting. The first National Heritage Area was created in 1984 during the Reagan administration, and that is the Illinois and Michigan Canal in Illinois, which is his birth state. So it's an evolving program. We are in cultural resources in Washington, but we are in different places throughout the Park Service, and I can tell you more about that as we go. So National Heritage Areas are living, working landscapes designated by federal law. They are not parks in the sense that have fences, walls, federal ownership. They are innovative, community-driven approaches for citizens in partnerships with local federal government and the private sector to shape the long-term future of their communities. So currently, there are 54 National Heritage Areas in 34 states. So as you see, it's a broad landscape, varying by size and shape and stories. How does the National Park Service partner with them? When they're designated by Congress, we help with management plans. We also, by law, can be asked to study emerging heritage areas through feasibility studies. We can assist with interpretive planning once designated, strategic planning, and sustainability planning for how they can use the federal resources or use other resources beyond the federal resource. We oversee those appropriated funds from Congress, and we engage in projects such as economic impact reports, sustainability plans, and evaluations. And those are all available on our website as well if you're interested in looking at those reports. So it is complex. It's a complex network of partnerships, overlapping jurisdictions. So as you saw on the map, multiple counties, multiple states, large landscapes. In 2019, Heritage Areas leveraged $71 million to carry out the projects. They received from the federal government, specifically through our program, which is called the Heritage Partnership Program, $19.6 million. And what do? They do historic preservation projects, conservation, recreation, and education. So many of the things my colleagues just talked about: archaeology, museum work, oral histories. They're concerned about climate change, all of those things. So this is a picture of one heritage area, the Delaware and Lehigh National Heritage Corridor. And they work on the water in that area, water health and wellness, getting people fit and out on the trail. They have a program called Get Your Tail on the Trail. They also create educational materials for schools. And this is a picture of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, which when they started their work had about 20 active businesses and now has about 200. So they can have a really big economic impact in the development sector. So different from parks, it's looked at as a productive use of landscapes. So they can give some of the money they receive from us to grants for historic sites, preserving cultural landscapes, but generally keeping those lands productive as farms or ranches, or even working forest. We're not taking land out of productive use, and we do not discourage productive use of lands. They also protect and preserve battlefields, often partnering with the American Battlefield Program to get grants to do that work as well. We often say, eat the viewshed. If you like what you see, if you want this rural landscape to stay rural, it has to be productive for local communities. So that can even include oral histories of farmers and ranchers. It can include teaching farming methods, historic and current, like silos and smokestacks in Iowa. it's not just historic farming methods, and that's where the word smokestacks come from. It does include agricultural kind of mass production of food as well. They do a lot of work in conservation of the viewshed as well. So clearing invasive species, replanting, cleaning up toxic waste sites. Many of our heritage areas are, their story is rooted in our industrial heritage. And so many of these resources were neglected or really damaged. And so we have a lot of sites in heritage areas that are Superfund sites, and heritage areas aren't afraid to take that on. They often partner with other federal agencies, such as Bureau of Land Management, Reclamation, and others to get resources beyond our program, which contributes to kind of that large leverage. And they're really trying to connect people back to the resources. So as I said, some of these resources were degraded and people kind of turned their back on the resources. In Lackawanna Heritage Area, they talk about how the Lackawanna River would run different colors depending on the day of the week based on who was dumping in the river that day. So as these industries have gone away, they've worked to clean up the resources and provide public access to clean resources, kayaking, canoeing, biking along former canal towpaths and other places throughout heritage areas. Rivers of Steel, their story is based on the Pittsburgh steel industry, but they've also given new life to these industrial sites, creating river trails, having boat tours, giving tours by former steel employees, creating art projects in these warehouses and former industrial sites, but really revisiting how you can use these sites that are often on transportation corridors like rivers and canals because of that industrial past. They also assist communities with streetscape work, kind of akin or using the tools of the Main Street program. Wheeling National Heritage Area specifically helps developers in their community with the Part 1 of the Historic Tax Program application, helping them identify the important historic story of the resources, and even providing engineering studies or other studies that would encourage someone to purchase a site. So taking a neglected vacant structure and saying to someone, yes, you can buy this really cheap because it's so degraded, and here's really what's involved in making it work again. And that helps increase construction jobs and helps them really be a boon to the local economy. So taking distressed properties and making them productive again. Education is a big component, whether it's summer camps, not this year, but talking about the watershed and runoff and how we contribute to just from our own properties, like washing your car, little things like that, like following the drops into the watersheds, how we can really be partners to preserve our environment. And as I said, kind of connecting to the resources, telling these historic stories, whether it's through oral histories or camps or working with schools, getting kids out there and using current technology for them actually telling the stories, engaging people and students in this story to really make it hands-on. And because these are lived in communities that may include parks, but they're your town, they're your city, they're your neighborhood. Getting people really engaged in supporting collections and museums and those cultural materials that are relevant to their immigration story or Native American communities. The people that live there really telling those stories of the local communities. And we often talk about place esteem, where if your town is kind of beat up and jobs went away, people can get really sad and say like, well, why am I still here when everybody else packed up and went away? To really give pride of place and why these communities matter, why these buildings matter, why these resources matter, and creating more opportunities for work such as outfitters on trails or bed and breakfast, or even creating hotels on disinvested landscapes. So really, really the whole package. You know, we're not in one silo, if you will. Heritage areas work throughout.
Katie, we lost you. I don't know now what to do. I can try to send her a message. Katie, are you still there? Let's see if we can get her back. Okay. It might be that there are technical difficulties on Katie's end, and I'm really sorry about that because I, of course, had questions to ask her. I guess I'll take over from her. Let's see if I can do that. Are there any other questions for any of our participants who are still with us? I'm going to take a look and see if I see any.
Julie,
Go ahead.
I have a question for any one of our panelists. What do you look for when you're looking at intern applications? All of the programs host interns. What are you looking for when you look through all the applicants?
That's a great question, Paloma. Is anybody there wants to answer?
Yeah, this is Barbara. I unmuted. I look for some sense of self-awareness in the statement about what their goals are, even if the awareness is I'm really exploring everything, right? But some sort of clear statement, and what goes along with that is the ability to write clearly. A lot of folks can't write very well, so I like to be able to see clear writing.
Barbara, may I ask, just from a NCPE point of view, are the applications that you see from NCPE, do they provide enough opportunity to see that someone can write well?
Yeah, and sometimes we'll ask people for writing samples. Sometimes it really depends on what the internship is. But since so much of what we do is written communication, that is a key skill. Yeah, it's plenty. The applications are easy to use from my point of view.
Good.
And we have had great success with NCPE. We always have NCPE interns, and I'm so happy for the relationship.
Thank you. I think that's music to my ears. Any other panelists want to respond to Paloma's question?
Hi, well, this is Teresa. When I'm looking through intern applications, I really want to hear the applicant make an argument for why they want the internship that they are applying for. Oh, good, Katie's back. So why this internship? Is it because they wanted to know what it's like to be an archaeologist? Do they want to work? Do they want to do outreach and education? Do they? How do they see these internships fitting into their career goals and also their personal goals? I have to say too that I also get a number of applications that were clearly not written by the applicant. Like sometimes I get them that are clearly written by somebody's mom, and I don't choose those. So really want to like make sure that the applicant wants this internship and knows why they are applying for this internship.
Good to know.
Thank you.
So is Katie back with us?
Yep, sorry about that.
Oh,
I dropped out. It just ended.
There was maybe a storm between us. Do you want to take back over?
Sure. Yeah, so I think I was nearly done. So I think, was I on this page when you stopped hearing me?
No, that's a new one.
Where, this one?
Yes, that was it.
Okay, so I was just talking about engaging people where they live, and then I talk, it's kind of hard because I'm like, what did I say and what did you hear? That all this work happens in partnership. The power of people, place, and partnership, that's the only way that this happens. Like Niagara Falls here is a state park, and there's 5 state parks within the heritage area. There's no federal ownership within this heritage area. So they really do have to work very closely in partnership with their state communities. So heritage areas are very dynamic, and some people will say, you know, one heritage area, you know, one heritage area. They're all unique and different, and some partner very closely with parks, and some have no national parks. So it varies in that way as well. But they're also doing a lot with diversity and inclusion. You know, everything I feel like my partner or colleagues have mentioned, whether it's suffrage or telling untold stories, telling all American stories, that they're doing it. So if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to take them. Sorry about losing connection before.
No, that's wonderful. If there are any questions for Katie, either now we can respond to them, or you can contact her. Her email address is up on the screen right now. I think what we'll do is I'll take over and see.
And we don't, you know, I have the contact information for the Washington office, but we have regional coordinators in 5 regions. And to sum up the diversity of heritage areas, we have 1 person who's in natural resources, 2 people who are in partnerships, 2 people in cultural resources, and 1 in our Rivers Trails Conservation Association. So we have, our coordinators are in all different areas within the Park Service as well.
A quick question for you, Katie, it just sort of came to my mind, is who initiates a National Heritage Area typically?
It really is a grassroots initiative. And when it's a strong, robust group of people, that's when we find that when they are designated by Congress, they have a strong, robust program. We had a pause in creation of new heritage areas for a decade. We had 49, and then no heritage areas were designated by Congress for over 10 years. And then we had 6 new ones in the last public lands bill. Not for lack of introducing new heritage areas in Congress, but they just weren't making it over the final line. It's also a mixed bag because the current administration proposes us for no funding. But it's very popular in Congress, and they continue to increase our funding. The previous administration had just suggested a 50% cut in our program funding. So it's an interesting thing in that, you know, how popular they are in Congress. Julie, you're on mute.
Yeah, I imagine the economic development and tourism aspects of your program might be really interesting to members of Congress.
Yes, and the economic development arm, and also really engaging their constituents in the history of their locations.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Everybody has been really wonderful and wonderful participation. I not seeing any more questions. But if any of the attendees have questions that they think of later, here are the email addresses of the panelists, so they can be contacted later. And last item for me is the next webinars that are going to be available. We're going to be, let's see, here we go. NCPE's next webinar is going to be on the 21st of July at 2 o'clock, not 2:30, just FYI. And that's going to be more of an introduction to the National Park Service, various programs, and to General Services Administration. There are some other, not affiliated with NCPE, but other great webinars that are coming up. The Sharing the Untold Stories is going to be really fascinating. NCPE has another one on August 11th on Introduction to National NAGPRA, but also I want to point out the one on August 5th, Partnering with Tribes on Conservation. That also sounds fascinating. So that's what we have available. I want to thank our wonderful panelists, and of course, including Paloma for stepping in there, for setting up today's event. And thank you to all our attendees for participating and asking great questions. We have recorded this webinar. It's going to be up on our YouTube channel probably a week from now, and then pretty soon after that point, get its closed captioning attached to it. So you can, if you skipped anything today or want to get back to it, you can go to the National Council for Preservation Education YouTube channel and rewatch one or all of the speakers today.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks, everyone. If any attendee would like a link to this webinar schedule, please feel free to email me or Julie to get the Google webinar schedule, where you can just click on the link. And the links to the recordings will also be posted on this schedule. So I'll see you next time on the 21st.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. You guys were great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, great. And so long.